The Knicks tip off the season a week from tonight, so if you're pumped up for some Knicks basketball, I think this team can be really good this year. Hit that thumbs up icon, like the video, and let's get into today's show. Welcome into New York Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Chase Senior. Coming up on today's show, Kevin Knox, who's been rumored to be in trade discussions for quite some time now, acknowledging that his future in New York City is somewhat murky. Now, Kevin Knox has been involved in trade discussions, trade rumors for several months. Some people have pegged him as being a potential trade candidate in a deal for Damian Lillard or another significant piece. And we're talking about the 9th overall pick in the 2018 NBA draft, who has simply not lived up to expectations of being a former top 10 pick. He was basically last year out of the rotation for Coach Tom Thibodeau, and he told the New York Post that, yeah, I could get traded. That's something that I have acknowledged. Let's get into what he said and then break down Kevin Knox's career path and why he's outside of this rotation. Right now, no one really has solidified minutes, Kevin Knox said, solidified starters and bench players. So it's going into camp, going into the season with the right mindset that I really wanted to play this year. So I'm going to have to figure out a way to stay on the court and get minutes. So I'm really not worried about the trades or anything else. I'm just worried about getting in the rotation and being on the court. And being on the court last year was something that Kevin Knox didn't do a lot of. He only averaged around 11 minutes per game last season, which was a huge surprise in his third year of the NBA because really since he came into the league, his numbers have gone down, his minutes have gone down drastically, and a lot of people are disappointed about his career trajectory because Kevin Knox simply hasn't been the player that a lot of people thought he was going to be coming out of the University of Kentucky. I liked him coming out of the NBA draft. When he played in Summer League in his rookie season, I was like, you know what? Kevin Knox reminds me a little bit of Jason Tatum. That was a bad take at the time, but even as a rookie, he was averaging more than 12 points per game, and last year under Tibbs, he wasn't getting any burn, DNP'd on a consistent basis. Coming up, we'll take a look at that draft class to see where Kevin Knox lies. But right now, do you consider Kevin Knox a bust? Type B for bust, type E for early. Get those votes in the comment section right now. New York Knicks Now is presented to you by our sportsbook partner, BetUS. This deal applies for anybody in every pocket of the United States. If you go to chatsports.com/bet and you enter the promo code CHAT125, you get a 125% deposit bonus, meaning you put $100 into your account, you get an additional $125 back. Maybe you want to lay some money down on the Knicks on opening night against the Boston Celtics, a very, very good opening night matchup in the NBA. The over-under set at 217.5. Knicks, 1-point favorites, so almost a pick 'em. Do you like the Knicks at home to win that game? If so, be bold. Put your money where your mouth is. Chatsports.com/bet. Enter that promo code CHAT125. As far as where Kevin Knox is as compared to some of his other draft partners in the 2018 NBA draft, after the playoffs last year because of what DeAndre Ayton did, helping lead the Phoenix Suns to the NBA Finals, what Luka Doncic has done throughout his career, Trae Young leading the Atlanta Hawks to a surprise run to the Eastern Conference Finals, this has the potential to be one of the greatest NBA draft classes of all time. DeAndre Ayton went atop the draft coming out of Arizona at number 1. Marvin Bagley at number 2 to the Kings. I feel for you, Sacramento, because Luka, who's put up similar numbers to LeBron James their first 3 years of their respective careers, has ended up being a superstar. Jaren Jackson Jr. with the Memphis Grizzlies, a pretty solid player. Trae Young bursting onto the scene, reminding a lot of people of Steph Curry. And then you look at the 6 through 10 spots. Mo Bamba hasn't proven himself yet. Wendell Carter Jr. already on his second team after getting drafted by the Bulls, got sent to the Orlando Magic in that Nikola Vucevic trade. I really like Colin Sexton coming off a year in which he averaged around 24 points per game. I thought this offseason the Knicks should have looked to trade for him. And then you have Kevin Knox at number 9, whose first year was pretty solid. Ever since then, downwards. Mikal Bridges out of Villanova. He's been a two-way stud as a prototypical 3-and-D guy. I think he has superstar written all over him. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander just got the bag, signing that rookie max contract extension worth a little less than $200 million. Miles Bridges has been a high flyer and a human highlight reel. Hasn't necessarily put it all together. Jerome Robinson not even in the league anymore. Michael Porter Jr. just signed a massive deal with the Denver Nuggets. And that's where kind of Kevin Knox comes in, because you're like, damn, we took Kevin Knox inside the top 10. We couldn't have gotten Luka or Trae Young unless we moved up, but we could have gotten SGA, who's a franchise cornerstone for OKC, maybe even a Michael Porter Jr. Could we have traded up maybe to get another player, or we could have had Mikal Bridges, which all would have been better options than Kevin Knox. And as I mentioned earlier, I like Knox coming out of Kentucky. John Calipari has done a great job over time of developing some of these professional prospects, even when they don't put up massive number at the college ranks. And Kevin Knox at Kentucky was a pretty solid player, but in the NBA Summer League after he got drafted, I was like, I see the flashes of him just being a bucket getter and a very good scorer. But he just hasn't lived up to expectations at all, and his game is really varied, and he really doesn't do many other things other than scoring the basketball, and Tibbs, he really likes his well-rounded players. Now, Kevin Knox did admit to the New York Times that this wasn't the easiest offseason for him. He was putting in a lot of work, working on his body. Tom Thibodeau really wanted Kevin Knox to partake in the Las Vegas Summer League, but then Knox went down with COVID, and I'm wondering if that kind of affected his status going into this season and why he might be on the outside looking in of this New York Knicks rotation. And it's funny, when players get drafted high and their careers don't get off to an ideal start, it seems as though it's just a domino effect where bad thing after bad thing continues to happen. And that's kind of what's happened with Kevin Knox. Like, he has this momentum going. He works on his body, works on his game. I think he would have been able to display a lot in the Las Vegas Summer League. And look at what guys like Emmanuel Quickley and Obi Toppin did. They improved their stock. Kevin Knox didn't have an opportunity to do that. He spoke about his battle with COVID, saying this: I was just staying in Miami, and then I got sick. I was down for a couple of weeks. It was difficult. I trained really hard to go to Summer League, play again, and actually get some runs and minutes. I got my body ready, and COVID hit me. Now, Tom Thibodeau did speak recently about Knox, and kind of tried to improve his stock a little bit, maybe even boost his confidence. He said this: his strengths are his strengths, the shot making, the areas of his game he has to improve. It's all the other things. To know you can play well if you don't shoot well. No one shoots well in every game. There are other aspects of the game you have to perform well in to help the team win when you're not shooting well. That's the challenge to be an all-around player. And Tibbs at times throughout his coaching career has gotten knocked for this. He runs his starters into the ground because he plays them so many minutes, and sometimes he doesn't go with the flashy players. Instead, he goes with the gritty players because it aligns with his style preferences. And for Tibbs, you have to be an all-around player, and you have to defend. And if Kevin Knox hasn't shown to Thibodeau that he can be a quality defender in the NBA, Tibbs is going to say, you know what? Everybody can shoot the basketball. Everybody at times can score. I want guys who can defend. I want guys who can play as all-around basketball players, and Kevin Knox is not that. That's why he's outside of the rotation. And now that I continue to think more about it, it would probably be best for Kevin Knox, who's still in his early 20s, to get traded elsewhere, to give him a new lifeline, to give him some rejuvenation, to give him a new life so that he can go somewhere else, get a fresh start, and just kind of put that New York Knicks past in the rearview mirror so that he can start over and prove to people that, yes, I was a top 10 pick for a reason. I have potential. I can play in this league. So let me ask you this. Will Knox be a member of the regular rotation? Last year he was not, getting DNP'd around 11 minutes per game. Didn't put up any numbers. Type I for yes, he'll be in the rotation. Type O for out. Hey, thanks for watching New York Knicks Now by Chat Sports.